The delegation met with a wide array of election stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, political parties, and religious leaders, civil society representatives, security forces, academics, and representatives of the international community. In addition, the delegation traveled to Osun State to meet with electoral stakeholders ahead of the off-cycle gubernatorial election on September 22nd, 2018, and we visited several polling units in the cities of Oshogbo, Ilesa, Ede, and Ofetedo on voting day to witness the conduct of the election within the framework of preparations for the 2019 elections. The delegation expresses its deep appreciation to everybody with whom it met for sharing insights from which the mission benefited greatly. The delegation conducted its activities in accordance with the laws of Nigeria and the Declaration of Principles for International Election Observation, which was launched in 2005 at the United Nations. Both IRI and NDI have deployed international election observation missions to all general elections in Nigeria since 1999, transition from military to civilian democratic rule. IRI and NDI are non-partisan, non-governmental organizations that support and strengthen democratic institutions and practices worldwide. The institutes have observed collectively more than 200 elections in more than 50 countries over the last 30 years. IRI and NDI will deploy a joint international delegation to observe the presidential, National Assembly, gubernatorial.
The elections are also expected to be closely competed among the major political parties. President Muhammadu Buhari is seeking re-election after historic elections in 2015, when the country experienced its first transition of presidential power from the People's Democratic Party, which had been in power since the transition from the military to civilian democratic rule in 1999, to the All Progressives Congress. Numerous positive developments have occurred since the 2015 elections that enhanced today's electoral environment in Nigeria. Some of these developments were noted in IRI and NDI's first pre-election statement in July. INEC has improved the voting process, notably through the introduction of continuous voter registration, adoption of simultaneous accreditation and voting, improvements to the secrecy of the ballot, and advancement of the smart card reader technology. Young people are motivated to participate in politics and to hold their representatives accountable through such initiatives as the Not Too Young to Run campaign.
Recommendations for the federal government of Nigeria. Provide sufficient and timely funds so that INEC and other electoral bodies can fulfill their responsibility as prescribed by law. Ensure the timely passage of the amendment to the Electoral Act 2010. Recommendations for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Take concrete measures to combat vote buying through voter education campaigns, enforcement of laws against voter inducement, and nationwide ban on cell phones in the voting cubicle. Enhance as much as possible the physical space for voting to facilitate the processing of voters on election day. Prioritize training for polling officials on configuring polling units to enhance ballot secrecy while maintaining a transparent voting process. Recommendations for political parties. Engage at the leadership level in inter-party dialogue, such as the one facilitated by the National Peace Committee in 2015, and adhere to agreed provision therein. Proactively investigate and, where substantiated, take punitive action against party members and supporters who use hate speech and violence, including through gangs, or disseminate false information during the election cycle. Demonstrate true adherence to campaign finance regulations and commit to the proper use of resources in engaging voters. Provide access to INEC auditors per applicable regulations. adhere to and enforce existing codes of conduct that commit parties to democratic electoral standards regarding campaign use of resources, engagement of voters, peaceful resolution of disputes, and acceptance of verified and credible results.